Today on FTRTV, we check out a top secret coral farm. G'day everyone, my name is David Mai and welcome back to First Time Reefer TV. And today we are at a top secret location of a coral farm. This is where Coral Nation runs their business. We've got Rowan Martin to the side of the camera here. He is going to take us a walk around these magnificent, beautiful, clean, amazing systems. This is one of my favorite places to visit because I marvel at one, how intricate his system is, and two, how neat everything is, and three, how remarkably clean his tanks and his coral and his frags are. It's just amazing. So I'm gonna turn the camera around now. We're gonna go for a walk around with Rowan and he's gonna run us through the systems, how they operate and what he does. Stick around.
Hey Dave, welcome to Coral Nation. So Coral Nation, we've been running up for about 2.5 years. First 6 months was really difficult. As we've grown over the few months or over the few years, we've sort of expanded and expanded, which I'll walk you through shortly. Coral Nation and myself, how did we meet Dave? Well, Dave sold us a skimmer, a good old Nature Aquariums.
Nature Aquariums days.
That was the first time I met Dave. Walked inside there, I wanted to buy a skimmer. I think I was originally looking for a Nios.
Yeah.
And Dave managed to sell me the RLSS, I think it's the DI, the inverted DV6.
Yeah.
And
DI6 I think it is. Right?
Yeah.
And it's still going.
The best skim on earth. Seriously,
going.
yeah, it's still going. It's never ever overflowed. I can say that's the most amazing thing about this skimmer. I'm just worried one day when I have to get spare parts because apparently you can't anymore. So I've got a backup skimmer hidden around the back over there. So I've always, anybody that knows me does know I've got backups for everything. Yeah. So
redundancy.
Redundancy, that's key in this hobby.
So Coral Nation is your website?
Yes,
sell all your coral?
Correct,
www. Plug so we can plug your website in here somewhere.
coralnation.com.au, that's us. So let me walk you through our life support system that we got running over here. So our entire frag system is running off this sump. We've got the inflows or the outflows falling through into 2 filter socks. Those get changed out every few days. We're running carbon in filter bags. We're running just GFO or AL99 just to remove phosphates.
That's on the Nios Talk reactor?
Yeah, that's on the Nios Talk. You know, I've tried many different reactors. They're all outside at the moment, but that's the easiest one to clean. So quick, so simple. You just snap it off, clean it out, put it in, it's straight away. I alternate between GFO for 2 weeks, Robophos, and then the AL99 from Triton. Great stuff. And my fallback on this entire system is my ICP testing. So we run an ICP test every month. Make sure that we're on track, nothing else is sort of popping up. Anything that does happen, we then immediately, I've got stock that I can sort of fix any problems. So another one of David's suggestions, because I'm also a keen follower of his YouTube clips channel, and that is the Aquabus, the Aqualogic, as well as the Shago heaters. So I'm running 2 600-watt Shago heaters on this system. The whole system itself is about 750 litres. So those heaters. They are great, and especially the Aqualogic controller. Yep. That temperature probe is probably the best thing you can ever see, and that's just pure quality. Yep. So then the pumps, the return pumps, I've got 2 Ecotech 1S1 and 1S2 pumps running the whole system. I do have the ability, so I've managed to put the ball joints right next to each other so that if one of them does fail, I've got connections that I can just run the entire system off one pump. And I've always got redundancies like that with that. In order to make sure that nothing goes wrong, I've also got flow meters on each outlet.
Yeah. The Apex.
That's the Apex, yeah. So that's
modules, I think they call it, right?
yeah, correct. That's the FMM modules.
Yep.
So the entire system is monitored with the Neptune Apex system, and it's probably been one of two big game changers in my life. Has been the Apex, as well as the so the Apex with running the Trident, just for myself knowing that everything's going well. I don't have to test. I know it's all perfect. And my water change system, which I'll get to a little bit later.
Yep.
Now on the Apex Trident, it's monitoring my alkalinity, magnesium and calcium. Basically twice a day for magnesium and calcium, 4 times a day for alkalinity. But it's not controlling any of those. It's literally just monitoring it and telling me where things are going wrong. The Apex dose is then keeping everything in line and dosing on a regular basis, and I can tweak it wherever. But
so you leave the Trident just to do the checking.
correct.
But in regards to dosing, you are still completely in control with adjusting the
Yes.
dose. And then I suppose that's getting rid of that, or having that fail-safe of a malfunction and just dumping a
Correct.
whole heap of...
Correct.
Yeah.
But what I do is I've been running a KH Guardian for quite a while now. And it's something that I trust, something that I know works well. And the KH Guardian is what's basically monitoring and keeping my KH consistent. I try to keep it round about 9.2. In the region of 9 and 9.2, I'm increasing it a little bit, but it's pretty spot on. And at this stage, if I look at my Apex, I'm pretty sure my Apex this morning said 9.23 as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really, really
that's
good.
redundancy to the next level.
It is. It is. I think I've seen too many bad experiences of where things can go wrong, and if you don't have time to catch it, it's too late. So, yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to make sure of.
So that's your life support system, which
Correct.
is, I would say is like pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
It's nothing crazy except for
No.
a couple of extra few gadgets to help with your flow monitoring and also the water monitoring. But
correct.
it's a basic system. It's an open sump, barely any media that I can see.
There's no media.
There's no media.
There's
in
no
it 'cause
media
you've got the
inside
rocks
there.
over there,
Correct,
right?
yeah. So I've got all my live rock is sitting in my refugium, and yeah, there's no media inside. Yeah. The other thing that I do have a fail-safe is I've got the Auto Aqua running as a ATO top-off,
Yep.
but then I've got a second Auto Aqua running just about 1.5 centimeters below that as a backup. So if the first one does fail, the other one will kick in. And then as my third backup, I've got an optical sensor there linked to my Apex to tell me if something does happen. On top of that, the salinity should be going out of whack if it reaches those levels. So a little bit too much, but nothing.
It's a coral farm. That's what you need, right?
The other one that I also have seen a big change is just with my CO2 scrubber. So that's, I think it's from Ravi,
Yeah.
from Pacific Sun. Great stuff. I've tried, I think one of the key things, and many people that use it, I've tried many different types of media, and the one that I've sort of leaned to at the end of the day is the Julian Sprung 2 little fishies.
Yep.
Reason being is with this one, you can see a clear line where the blue and the white starts. It is as straightforward as it's like night and day. So it's the previous ones that I did use in the past, it was kind of shaded, but that's really good.
Yep.
My auto water change. So every day from 6 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, I'm running a water change. It's run by Versa pumps. So they're not doing a lot. I think they're probably only doing about 16 mils per minute. So it's taking water out of one of these 2 buckets, whichever one's full at the moment. And it's taking it from one of these into the sump, and the other pump is taking it out of the sump outside into the drain. So I don't really have to do anything on that side. It's and then once this one gets used up, I then shift over to here. When I shift over, fill up the other bucket with fresh water. Once I'm getting close to the end, I add salt,
Yeah.
and that's good.
What salt?
Use Red Sea Blue bucket.
Red Sea Blue bucket.
I used to use the Red Sea Black bucket, the Pro, but alkalinity was just way too high for my liking. It was,
It's like 14 or something.
yeah, I had major issues with Zoanthids
Yeah.
when I used to use that. And since I shifted over to the blue, I haven't had any issues. It mixes perfectly, not cloudy. I've never had any issues, and I can pretty much now mix just by weight. I normally mix, I throw in, I have a look, and normally it comes to about 34.5 parts, and I just know exactly how much to add to bring up to 35.
So that's your life support.
It's a life support.
Now run us through the systems,
So-
because they are all linked.
Yes.
So let's run through the first
They're all
two
linked.
systems here.
Okay. So first two, this is Zoanthid 1. So Zoa 1, this one is, yes, just Zoanthids, just softies. I'm running for the water movements, I'm running 2 gyres. I've tried probably every single gyre in the market. This one I love the most. It's the max spec, I think it's the 330.
They've got the diffusers on them.
Yes, the 330s, and they talk to each other. They know exactly what the other one's doing. I think I've got them on 8-second flows, so it goes from one side to the other side, creates beautiful currents, and then I've also got a gyre underneath. So this tank's got 3 gyres.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Never have too much flow.
Well, what I found was in the past, if I didn't have a gyre on the bottom, I used to get a lot of rubbish
Try to build up
acid.
on the front. Yeah.
And once the detritus starts to build up and it doesn't move, you start getting, at that stage I used to get hair algae growing over there. Once I got that flow underneath, nothing ever catches.
Just washes
So
it
it's
out.
brilliant. That's this thing. On this tank, I'm also running the Hydra 52 HD. The schedule that I'm running is a 64K, 6,400K light schedule for the first 2 hours of the morning, and that shifts to pure blue for the remaining 8 hours of the day. So it's really, really, like right now it's very, very blue, but if you had come first thing in the morning, it would be yellow.
Yeah. There's no doubt that you grow some of the best zoas around as well. Probably some of the most ridiculously monster-sized polyps that I've
Yes.
seen in some zoanthids. And you say yourself that a lot of zoanthids morph to sort of like a signature coral nation sort of
They do. We've
zoanthid, right?
probably one of our famous ones is the KO nightmares that really changed significantly in our systems.
Yeah.
But all of them do somehow. The nice thing about zoas is zoas will tell you immediately if there's something wrong with your system. They live through pretty much anything, but they're the first coral that'll close up or really change something. High phosphates is an example. Yeah, it's that's Zoa 1. Zoa 2. So this tank here again, Hydra 52 is the same light schedule as Zoa 1. The difference here is I'm running 2 Neuro 5s on both sides. Again, opposite one each other. Very beautiful flow motion, and I've got a massive gyre underneath again at the bottom. Yeah, nothing much to say about this one except it's very similar, the same types of coral, big polyps.
You feed your zoanthids?
Yeah, I do. So every 4 days, I feed them a mixture of polyp lab reefroids mixed with phytoplankton, and I just target feed.
Okay.
So I target feed them completely. And then also, I'm also on the black label schedule.
Yep.
So twice a day I drip in the black label, but then I'm also using the Red Sea AB Plus in the evenings. That's for the corals, and then for the fish, I'm basically feeding them twice a day.
Okay.
Just frozen food.
So this is zoanthid tanks.
Yeah,
Let's
2
go around to
zoanthids.
the back to some of the
So,
delicious lollipops.
so right at the back here, this is my Zoa 3. So Zoa 3 tank, Again, very similar. The only difference here has got a few sophisteria down in the middle. This tank here, it's one of the newer tanks, so it has taken a while to get in, but it's finally looking pretty good. It's lit by 2 Hydra 26 HDs. Pretty similar schedule to the Zoanthid 1 and 2. And again, yeah, I'm running the 2 Neuro 5s on opposite ends, and I'm running a gyre underneath. So
I've just replicated in each tank, don't you?
the Zoanthid tanks are replicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% replicated. So nothing different over there. My SPS 1, this is SPS number 2, but I'll start off with this one. So this one over here, this is sort of like a overflow from the main SPS frag tank. This one here is running, again, 2 Neuro 5s on either end, the gyre underneath. It is running off 2 XR15 blues. The schedule that I'm running here is roughly broken up into 3 times during the day. The first, I'm pretty sure it's about the first 3 hours, it's running 100% blues and then 30% red, green, white. The second 3 hours is 100% blues, 10% red, green, white, and the last 3 hours is just 100% blues.
And
So-
I noticed the extra amount of a little bit lower.
Yeah, so on my SBS tank, I've kind of brought them down a lot because I really want to get that par
Yep.
going. With the Zoanthid tanks, I've really lifted them pretty high.
Reduced there.
Yeah,
Yep.
and also to give them a more broad field of light. And then on to the SBS 1. Now this one, yeah, is mainly, it's running with 2 Hydra 32s, HDs, and then the XR30 blue. And again, now this one's got a few more, it's got an extra pump. It's got the 2 MP10s on either side. It's got a Neuro 5, and it's got a gyre underneath.
Crazy.
So it's, yeah, they are, and everything is on the MP10s are running on random. The Neuro 5 is running on just 8-second bursts. And the reason why I added the MP10 was I was getting a very linear flow in this part of the tank because of the way that my MP10s were positioned.
Yep.
But once I put this, it just forms a bit of a backwash every 8 seconds, and it just really cleans it out. And yeah, so this tank here is really just acros, digis, some nice Monties.
I'm going to say, just so everyone can hear me, these are like the most fluffiest, most densely populated polyp digis I've ever seen. And every time I've been here, I'm just amazed by them. They look like just like woolly mammoths. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, everyone's pretty impressed with our digis. They are, they're super fluffy, and they grow really, really quickly, really well. The polyps, alkalinity currently, like I said earlier, about 9.2, so it's not super high,
Yeah.
but the polyp growth sort of struggles to keep up with the, with the skeleton growth. So
That's
it's
some fairy lights at the back there as well.
Yeah,
They are
there's
stunning.
quite a few fairy lights we just fragged.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
yeah, we've been selling them now for a few months, and yeah, very.
And this one, is, you said, was a
That's the Tequila Sunrise,
Yeah,
Monty. Yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah, no, it is. It's a real stunner.
And the feeding schedule is very similar on this?
Yeah, so basically exactly the same. So all the tanks get the reefroids, phytoplankton mix every 4 days,
Yep.
and with the AB plus in the evening. So yeah, very, very similar, no change.
Okay.
One of the little additions that I had just lately was just adding on the diffusers on all the radions.
Radions, yeah.
Definitely, it just looks a lot nicer. It doesn't have that sharp, and I haven't picked up a big difference in the par values. So yeah, I would definitely do it again.
T5 like, right?
Yeah, that's it. Because the problem is I don't have space. Because when I originally set this up, I never planned for correlation to really get the size that it is getting now. So I started off pretty small, and as we've expanded, I've sort of stayed with the size of tanks. So the beauty about this is it's very simple just to turn off a tank. Something had to happen, I could just flick the switch, transfer everything.
So, sorry about that, guys. My beautiful wife was just checking up on where I actually was, because you can sort of just get lost once you hit Coronation HQ. But a couple of questions for you, Rowan. What was the most difficult thing you faced setting this up?
Look, probably the most difficult part was getting through the beginning stages. The first 12 months were tough. You know, it's not every day you came down there was something going on, there was something, and you're always reliant on test kits, you're always reliant on this. The amount of time that I would stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning doing alkalinity tests, and you know, you think you're on track, and then suddenly you get a way out number, and you don't know if that's the correct number, so you end up doing another 3 tests, and it's so, you know, it's just sort of staying in there and staying in the game. These tanks have now been running, I mean, these 2 tanks down there, they've been running now for over 2.5 years. Only now, I'm very comfortable in putting any SBS in that tank. Yeah, even if I had to expand, I would go through a dirty phase again.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite thing about your entire system?
It's got to be the Trident.
Well, that's your worker, right?
Well, you know what? It's probably given me back at least a few hours every few days. Yeah. It's no longer having to do calcium and magnesium checks and all of that. And every month I just send off the ICP, and then I compare the ICP to what my Trident's saying, and I know if it's in the ballpark. I've also learned not to worry about the small little things. You know, the tests are going to tell you a number. What you should be looking at is just be looking at the corals. Okay. You know, if the corals are looking good, that's it.
Chase the numbers.
Correct. If the numbers keep on going down, then you can act.
Yeah.
But if it's a once-off, wait a while, test again, and normally it sort of bounces back.
Okay. And if you had to give a young Rowan any bit of advice when he was starting out again in the marine hobby, even before setting up a farm, what would your number one bit of advice be to a young Rowan or someone looking to start out in the marine aquarium hobby?
Oh God!
Subscribe to YouTubers.
So I think my first marine tank or reef tank that I ever set up was back in 2003. Originally when I was based in South Africa, and I went into a shop. I was living in like a little, very small town, and I went into the pet shop and I said to the guy, I want to set up a marine tank, and this guy looked at me like I was crazy. He'd never heard of a marine tank in this town, and all he had was freshwater tanks. So I ended up buying a tank without a sump, and it had one of these filters on the top.
Yep.
And I somehow had to convert that into a full marine tank.
Good.
After 6 months, I had that tank, which was probably about 1.2, it was about 4 foot. But then on the right-hand side of it, I had another 2 4-foot tanks, one on top of the other. One was a deep sand bed, and one was a refugium. And the amount of engineering involved in order to get water to go opposite gravity without overflow and without a sump. Probably best piece of advice I can ever give somebody is just get a sump.
Buy something fit for purpose.
Get something fit for purpose, and definitely, you know, the bigger the better. Definitely bigger the better. You know, small tanks are nice and easy, but just the swings are just too big. And yeah.
Awesome. There's one more thing that you said is very crucial to your system too, right?
Yes, there is. There is the redundancy.
The king of redundancies, obviously batteries.
Batteries, yeah. So I'm running the Ecotech battery backups over here. So I've got one battery backup for each return pump. That if the worst thing had to happen, at least I've got some water movement through. But then underneath that table, I've also got a generator. So I've got a generator stored away there, and I think I've got enough supplies behind you there for basically I can open up a shop.
Set up a small shop.
And I think this is due to COVID. COVID has taught me to always have at least 2 months worth of everything you need. So yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having us
David, much appreciated.
travel your top secret location, which I'm not going to tell you guys where it is, but it's been a pleasure to share with you guys as well, watching at home, this incredible system. I hope you guys learned a couple of things. If you got any questions, do leave a comment down in the comment section down below. If you guys want to hit up any of Rowan's corals, hit www.coralnation.com.au. Does $15 shipping across Australia wide?
Most is $30.
Most of it's $30.
across Melbourne.
$15 across Melbourne, and he also does deliveries for some items across Melbourne as well when he does his delivery runs. So be sure to jump over and check out his website and all of some of the best photos as well of coral, I got to say.
Well, I'm just taking photos of the coral I have. So.
So if you guys like this video, smash that like button. Please leave a comment down in the comment section down below if you got any questions for Rowan, and I will be sure to pass them on to you. Make sure you subscribe because there's some more tours, tank videos, monster tank builds coming at you. And my friends, until next time, peace.
When
Okay, well this room just got a lot cooler.
it's only started.
No pressure to get this going while it's rolling. There you go. Is there a projector? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is so cool. Oh, movie night at Coral Nation.
Special guest.
Very cool, very cool.